Hi, Victoria here from HBA and Compass, the Bookkeeper Hub and author of Zest for Success. Following on from yesterday's session about licences. Now, of course, being an accountant, I can't not talk about ATO licences and registrations, and I'm going to talk to them very briefly because they are covered in a lot more detail further on in our series when we talk about taxation. So as a business owner, as a minimum, you need to have an ABN number, an Australian business number, and that needs to be listed on all your invoices. If your turnover is going to be more than 75,000, then you need to register for GST, Goods and Services Tax. If you are employing staff, we talked about work cover earlier, but if you're employing staff, you also need to be registered for PAYG withholding, which is the tax that you take out of staff wages when you pay their weekly, fortnightly or monthly pay. And if you are running heavy vehicles, whether it be trucks, excavators, concrete trucks, anything like that, you also need to be registered for the fuel tax credit scheme. And what that does is let you claim a certain cent rate back per kilometre for the type of truck or operation that you're doing. It does change from time to time, also for agriculture as well, and that means that you can claim that back. The last one, which I'm going to touch on very briefly, is if you are selling wine or alcohol, there is a thing called the wine equalisation tax, which is wet tax. So that's a bit of an overview. Of course, ask your accountant for more information if you want to know what these are, but just to let you know that these are licences that are applicable. And following on from that, we've talked about business licences, we've talked about associated body licences, we've talked about tax agent licences. The last thing I want to talk about are patents and trademarks. So trademarks are a registration over words and pictures that mean that no one else can use the same phrase or the same logo. So the best examples I've got is the swoosh that they use for Nike or the golden arches that they use for McDonald's. Everyone knows who it is and wouldn't try and put their logo in their advertising. But small businesses need protection against that too, because if you don't have a trademark over your logo or your tagline and someone comes along and decides that they're going to create a trademark for that, unless that you are notified and you have put up a resistance against that, if they do get that trademark, they can then come in and take all your earnings from that business. Now, when I say earnings, I'm not talking profits, I'm talking gross earnings, your total sales. So imagine what it means for me if I had the Zest for Success at the top here, which wasn't trademarked, and someone else came along and decided to trademark it, and they could take all the royalties of any books, any workshops, or anything else that it is that I sell under that Zest for Success name. So vitally important that you do register your business logo and your tagline, if you have one, with Trademarks Australia. Now, you can do that yourself. There is a process that goes through, but my suggestion to you is get a trademark expert who can help you, because it's going to cut down a lot of time and a lot of grief down the track. After trademarks, we talk about patents. Now, patents are similar to a trademark. It's a license, but it's over a process or a recipe. So the best example I can give you for that is if you think of Panadol. So Panadol is a tablet that's paracetamol and whatever else is in it. When the makers of Panadol first made it, they would have a recipe that they would use to make it, and they would have taken that to IP Australia, and they would have registered a patent over that. And that means that no one else can use that exactly the same recipe. Now, as I understand it, patents last for 20 years. So once that recipe or process, the trademark is actually finished, then that is fair game to anyone else who wants to use it. So when you go to the chemist and they say, do you want the generic brand for your Panadol? What it is that they are using the recipe that Panadol actually have. So I can't explain it any clearer than that, but it's important that you do, if you do have recipes or procedures in your business that is totally different to what someone else has and you want to protect it, you do need to get a patent out. Keeping in mind that patents are public after 20 years. So that's a short and sweet version of all the licenses and fees off the top of my head that you may need to start a business. So I'll see you on the other side.